Hello, everybody, and welcome to Riftbound Ramblings. I'm your host Barrett, and today is an exciting day for me because for the first time in a long time, I finally have some news and updates to share with you all. And yes, it is something to get exciting about because we have our first information for the first ever North American Regional Qualifier for Riftbound. So we are gonna talk about it. Now that would be a quick video. So I also have at least what I'm going to call part 1 of the tournament weekly recap for week 11, and there's a Targon's Peak Ascension League event that they took place that is going to cover 2 groups. So we're going to go over 4th through 1st of both the Group A and Group B that took place on the 22nd. So without further ado, let's dive in. So yes, the first ever North American Regional Qualifier has been announced, and it is in Houston, Texas. Nice little coastal city in the southern part of North America, and we know that it's going to take place in the George Brown Convention Center. This means that you can start booking your hotels and getting your flight, plans situated, and you want to be nearby this convention center because that's where this is going to take place. And it is going to be on December 5th through December 7th. This tells us this will be a 3-day event. What all is going to take place on each days, we don't know particularly just yet. But we do know that we're going to get some more information on this, including tickets, pricing, and more on October 6th. So I've already marked my calendars. You know I'm going to have a YouTube video for you all out on that day. We will talk about it, of course. I'm going to make sure everybody has information and knows where to find it. But this is exciting. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be here no matter what. Whether I'm playing, whether I'm working, I'm going to be here, and I'm so excited to see so many of you and celebrate the birthday, if you will, the first ever beginning of competitive Riftbound in North America. And I think it is going to be a giant celebration, and I can't wait to see you all there. And we're going to play a ton of Riftbound, of course. But we also had a video drop today from Riot Official of Chingron versus Dave. This was recorded at Gen Con, and they did play real constructed decks against each other. And this is really nice because, first of all, it's just straight gameplay video, and two, it's with people that work on the game directly, including the game designer, lead game designer, Dave. So if you like some gameplay, even if you watch it at 2x speed, this is a good time. They have fun, and they play the game well. So I definitely recommend this video to anybody if you're just looking for some more gameplay. And it's interesting just to see the thought processes and like seeing the lines that the game designers, Dave himself would make in the situation of playing Riftbound. Very, very cool. But of course, as I promised, tournament recap week 11, and we're going to start with Group A here. In 4th place, we have a Master Yi deck, and this is doing something a little different than what we've seen for some of the Master Yi decks, in the sense of not playing Dazzling Aurora, but also still playing more ramp. So there are 4 copies of Catalyst at Aeons in here. The Finder Centers are pretty standard for most Yi decks that we've seen nowadays, but the Kiana's all on the sideboard, and I just wonder if there's a game plan for this deck where you start with the Catalyst in game 1. Depending on what you're against, you need to kind of slow down, maybe put the Kianas in, and you just straight go 3 for 3 on those cards, because we are still playing an amount of mini units earlier on, Stalwart Poro, Clockwork Keeper, Find Your First Mate, but we are still playing a kind of even end of Tasty Faithful, White Flame Protector, and Dead Bloom Predator. So I kind of like what this is doing. Obviously, you got 4th place, and we know that Yi can win in these even bigger tournaments, but getting 4th place here is not bad regardless. This one is a little more surprising, and I'm excited to talk about it. Annie getting 3rd place on Group A, and this is exactly what we see this character doing, right? There's so many combat tricks or spells that you get to play on your opponent's turn that cost 2 or less. You're guaranteed to always have that 2. And you just play good units past that. Once you start getting stuff on the board, Kaisa, Darius help you clean up. Noxus Hopefuls cost less if you play more stuff. The Vise are very good in this deck because the discard pile fills up a lot quicker than you might think. I know a lot of people have really been enjoying playing this legend, and she also comes in the Proving Ground. So it's kind of putting us in this scenario where Yi and Annie might be starting to really, really compete against actual characters from the booster set as well, which is nice because one of those products is tailored towards beginners, getting your first step, getting those 4 decks, and the other stuff is all in the booster set. So it's good to see that kind of power level sharing across both of those products. In 2nd place, of course, we have Kaisa. Seeing a lot more success now as people are reevaluating and readjusting. And this one, of course, is playing that main boarded copy of Time Warp and also a Dr. Mundo. We're seeing, the Falling Stars, of course, have to be in this deck. Hextech Ray and Void Seekers being the main forms of removal, not really any top-end versions. but we still have things like Thousand-Tailed Watcher to help us out in that kind of middle of the game, and even 2 copies of Darius and an extra copy of the Kaisa champion unit. So I like what this deck is doing. It is a little different, like numbers wise, and I think people are trying to find the sweet spots of Kaisa. It's so interesting to me because we are finding it feels like a closer and closer version to an agreed upon version of Kaisa, even with the adapting meta around her. But the Yi decks continue, in my opinion, to look oh so differently. So this is really cool to see how the Kaisas have evolved. And then moving on, hey, look, first place in Group A is a different Kaisa. And when I say different in the sense of like, it's not playing the Time Warp, it's playing more copies of Watcher. It's playing these Sprite Mothers in the main board. You know, Smoke Screens are still here. We're still playing the Void Seekers, the Falling Rays, of course, and the Hextech Rays. Sorry, Falling Stars, Hextech Ray. But you know it does look different. There's a little bit of different things going on here. This one's honestly probably a little better about sticking onto the board, and the other deck is probably better at playing big giant turns that your opponent has to completely respect. So this one getting first place here, congratulations on this Group A, but we are going to move over now to Group B, and I like this group a lot more in the sense of diversity, and we get to talk about some fun legends such as Ari, who got fourth place here, and this one leaning not so much in the Ari that we saw do the top cut in China, because this one is playing copies of Defy, which I'm not saying is right or wrong to not play, but this one is doing a different thing that other deck was doing. Blitzcrank's, of course, very successful for this legend, and just in the game in general, still doing the movement stuff with like Charms, of course, but Thousand-Tailed Watcher and Riptide Rex being the cards that you play kind of on the higher end. But I assume we might just be playing a Blitzcrank probably over and over again with a couple of extra combat tricks with On Guards and Stupefies. Sunlink Guardian at a 3 of is also a very cool choice. I really like shielded tanks, and this unit feels good because it doesn't cost you any power to play, just like Lecturing Yordle. So congratulations here on this fourth place Ari deck if you're interested in playing Ari. Next up, we've got Misfortune, and man, oh man, I think this character is starting to come into more relevancy very, very quickly, and we're going to talk about why. Dazzling Aurora Misfortune is a real deck, everybody. I think this deck is very easily competing against the Master Yis and the Kaisas of the world, and people have to kind of respect this deck. It's doing the cool little Treasure Trove plus Pack of Wonders play. Confront in this deck is really nice because even when you have enough energy, if you're not playing a Dazzling Aurora your turn, when you have all the energy, you can play one of your normal units from your hand in conjunction with a Confront at like 10 or 12 energy, right? Sorry, 9 or higher. And it gets to come in ready, and you actually get to, make space on the board. And then if it's something like a Dead Bloom Predator, you also then get to turn Misfortune sideways and then go to the other base as well. And it's just a very powerful deck. Mobilizes, Catalyst of Aeons, we have to get that ramp going on, and then Bullet Time also being a very nice answer later on the game when you really just get to do whatever you want with your runes once the Dazzling Auroras start to hit the board. I wonder if decks like this one and Dazzling Aurora Yi start to see even more play, though. We will see a change again of people trying to adjust their order domain decks, but we're going to have to see. Speaking of order domain decks, hey look, it's a Darius that gets second place in Group B, and it makes sense to me because we can talk about the sideboard first, but having access to cards like Salvage are really, really nice because it can get rid of gears at a pretty reasonable rate and replace itself. And then, of course, a lot of the reason you play Order is the kill potential on their kill spells, Cull the Weaks in the sideboards, Hidden Blades in the main, of course. And this deck is really fun because it does the whole baited hook thing. And it easily gets these Dravens out on the board by just getting rid of these 2 Might units. I love to see at least one copy of Vayne in this deck. I think it's very, very strong. And I even like this Grand Stratagem still existing here, but we are trying other cards like Imperial Decree, which I haven't really seen in a lot of Darius decks. And we're even playing our own copies of Falling Stars because it is so potent. Even if we don't get the spell discount, or the power discount, I should say, for the spell, like Kaisa does. But Darius getting second place makes a lot of sense. And in first place, we see a kind of reversal of fortunes. We have Master Yi getting first place in Group B, whereas Kaisa got first place in Group A. Now, this list is, again, ever so slightly different than the other one because it's not playing Catalyst of Aeons. It is mainboarding those 4 Kianas. Other than that, these decks are pretty similar, and I would say the biggest choice here is that also this player is mainboarding 1 copy of Unyielding Spirit, and playing one less copy of like Find Your Center in the main board, and the extra copies of those are in the side, as well as 2 copies of Carnivorous Snapvine, not finding any room in the main board specifically, because sometimes it's just not good in certain matchups. I love the Ruined Prisons, of course. That's my favorite combat trick on the Calm Mine, or Calm Domain, and so I'm a big fan. First place here, though, going to Master Yi. And that's it, everybody. That is a nice little 10-minute video where we got to talk about the first regional announcement, and there will, of course, be more news for us to dive in deeper, and I'll go in a full thing for that for everybody so you have all the information. And we got to go over some tournament decks. And so I hope you all enjoyed this video. I don't normally come out with these in the middle of the week because I haven't been getting any news and updates, but the goal is every time Riftbound tells us something, I'm going to tell you all as well. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you're excited for what's coming up, including the regional. And if you are going to be there, I want to meet you. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. If you've been watching all the way to this point, thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one.